Sorry. Commissioner Byrd.
Here.
Commissioner Crabtree.
Here.
Commissioner Davenport.
Here.
Councilmember Joyce.
Here.
Commissioner Lovelady.
Here.
Commissioner Lowry.
Here.
Commissioner Turk. Commissioner Whitehead.
Here.
Chairman Turner.
Here. All right. We don't have any citizen comments today. No zoning cases, no subdivision cases. So we have a annexation item up for discussion. So I guess I'll turn that over to you guys.
All right. The first annexation that we have, like I said, or we've mentioned before, we've done these before. We have to have y'all's recommendation before we send it to City Council. This one is in Palmer Woods. This is petition number 2022-0336, and the requested zone is R2, which is medium density, single family, which is what all this is surrounding it, and it does fit. So this one is pretty self-explanatory as well. But like I said, this one they're requesting to come in as R2.
And this came out of the annexation meeting that we had a couple weeks back.
Correct. And we have several more that are kind of out in the middle that aren't contiguous yet, but we're trying to get to them so we can get those in as well. But this is the only one that we have that's contiguous right now.
And again, if it was R1, it wouldn't be a big deal. I don't think it would have to go to planning commission.
No, it goes straight.
Only because it's R2 that it's got to get your recommendation to be R2.
And the R2 is medium density?
Yes.
Yes.
R1 is
Low density.
low density.
That's going to be your bigger lots.
James, my comments don't pretend to be him.
Oh, he's the attorney.
Let's see him in a minute.
Let's adjourn.
Hey, can you pass the gavel?
What's everything
We
else
throw
on
it.
there?
This is all R2, which is the yellow,
Okay.
and then all this isn't city limits. So
And R3 is a high density?
yes,
Which would be apartments?
kind of like Magnolia Springs.
It'd be lower, smaller lots.
They're smaller.
Packed in.
Like 60 foot wide?
Yeah, 70s,
60s and 70s. Is it 60s or just
70s.
So this would be like from 70 to...
These are like 80-foot lots up to 100, and then you have your low density, which is 100-foot lots on your R1s, and then your R3 would be your like 70-foot. R4 is mobile home manufactured park.
We're not trying to do anything different. It's just.
Yeah, right.
It's
I was
the
just,
neighborhood.
right. I'm just getting my vocab.
And doing this is not ideal like this, but it helps you start connecting the dots.
Right. Oh, I think, yeah.
Doing what's not ideal.
Dot by dot by dot.
Yeah.
And
I would
Annexation.
love to just do a whole complete area, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
We'll tell it to the people.
What's the objection, just out of curiosity? Does anybody know why the neighbors don't want to join? Just curious.
Which you mean any of the neighbors?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily
Yeah.
that they don't want to, it's just they may have not been
Present at the
reached out
meeting.
to.
We-
We didn't have a full capacity at the meeting, we only had a few people from that subdivision. But it's just getting the word out to them and making them understand what it means, how you go about doing it.
We did
Well,
this.
I know when the city elections occurred, we had several people come in from
Yeah.
Palmer Woods, whatever his name is, and I sent them to him, and he said, well, if you can build you a way in, then, we're willing to work with you. So, but they didn't really, it was like they didn't know if they wanted to go to the trouble or not.
Right.
Or not.
And really, you brought up a good point, because at voting time is when you really start seeing
Yeah.
the people that think they're in and they're really not.
Because we had to turn several people away because they're not.
Some
they're
of us
just
were
not
there
in.
and they actually voiced their opinion on it. Like, I was so mad when I went down there to
Vote.
vote. We got turned away.
Yeah.
But it's also when there's an issue,
Yeah.
and if they think that the city can help, like, would have liked to see more on Oak Hill Drive, but people in general out here, when we form the city, leave us alone. We don't want the bureaucracy. We want to do what we do, and it was either, we do what Semmes wants, we're gonna be a suburb of Mobile, so that's why it's formed.
And we did this neighborhood, Palmer Woods and Kensington at the same time. And we actually I have about 8 in for Kensington that are all contiguous. But they're all R1, they're bigger lots, so they don't have to get recommendation. So we have those coming in as well. I have like 19 total that are contiguous that'll be up for the next city council. So it'll be a long meeting. But they're all R1.
No, it won't.
You have to do them individually when you bring them for approval? Hold on.
You have to do them in order.
The problem is-
So you do one,
You
then
don't
the
mind.
Have
next.
to build or whatever.
Say something you don't mind, Mr. President, or Chairman. Well, it's not bad. The problem is that people, what we're doing is we're trying to meet with different neighborhoods, as you know, and a lot of people are uneducated on how to do it.
Right.
But people automatically think that if you annex into our corporate, I had a lady that came in today from Kingdom that she didn't want to because one of the lady that's a realtor in the neighborhood told her tax base was going to go up, and that's untrue. We don't have an ad valorem tax, so her tax base doesn't go up. And so, but she wanted to know what the benefits were, and we told her what the benefits were, and obviously they outweigh the negative. And we told her the only thing that would really change is zoning. Your zoning, you would fall under our zoning ordinance, but our zoning ordinance does nothing but protect your property and the value, your property value. And that's what she was concerned about the most, was her property value. And so, you should be getting another one soon.
A lot of times the restrictions too of the zoning ordinance is also in their HOA covenants and stuff. So technically they're still getting that restriction like the zoning ordinance would do. So we're not going to override the HOA.
We're getting the word out, and we're not done with these neighborhoods. We'll revisit these neighborhoods again, but we're moving on to Camellia and what's the next one?
Whitestone.
Whitestone, that area right there. We've already met with Harmony. We met with their group. The one before this was
Right here. And,
Willity. No, it was Willity,
And
Root
Root
Drive.
Drive.
All that area over there. And we've had several, as Councilmember Joyce knows. We got 10 out of that one.
we're supposed to have the sign up day in Harmony pretty soon.
I think it's the
24th.
Saturday.
It's 24th. It's next Saturday.
It came back up because we were having some issues, and I put on there. So where were we with the annexation? Why haven't we had this? Why haven't we went door to door? Because you remember that meeting?
Yeah.
We were all way, we were ready to go, and then it just. Poof.
That's what happens.
Well, people don't understand, like, we take on more financial responsibility than anybody does. In our surplus, we'll come out, we'll tell the council next week, but our surplus this year was 3.5. So we're ready to take on that financial burden, but we're also able to apply for bigger grants and better opportunity with more that we have in our community. So that's what we're trying to do. We want to apply for the grant money that everybody else is applying for. It's hard to do.
Have y'all-
Sorry to get my soap opera.
That's all right. Have y'all thought about moving any further west than Snow Road?
Do it now?
Have you thought any more about moving west of Snow Road? Because I'm like the next neighborhood.
Our goal right now is to instead of expand our city limits is to fill in what we have, and then cause we're already majority of the time we're working those areas anyway. So if we go out any further, we haven't really determined the value of what it would take to do more than what we have. So we're just trying to fill in the smaller areas that we have that we fulfill. And a lot of these lands that you see in here, a lot of them is big open property too. It's not just neighborhoods that we're trying to fill in.
You lose touch with who you're planning for. We, especially to the north of us, we have no relationship. We don't need to be telling them what they do, can't do, and it's just it's a disconnect there. And so the lines were actually further out, and we kind of reined them in over the last 2 or 3 years.
We really got reined in.
They were reined in, actually.
Since Councilmember Joyce is a friend.
Yeah.
Any questions on the previous one or comments?
Commissioners, anyone? Okay, I think we can move on then.
All right, this one is the Yance property. It's at Silver Pine and Schillingers Road. This one, they're in the process of subdividing it, but they want to go ahead and get the annexation through, but they're just doing this portion in red. And they're going to go off the legal description. And I've checked with Jacob. Jacob's read the legal description. He's perfectly fine with it. So it's just going to be this portion in red.
What are they subdividing it for the purpose of residential? I don't know yet.
B2.
It's a business.
It is V2. Oh, I'm sorry. As you said that, I look at. Yes, Ms. Joyce.
And as far as the real reason of why, as far as splitting it in half, I mean, as far as the legal description, I mean, as far as, what is that? I mean, cause isn't that one large parcel?
Yeah, it's one large parcel right now. And like I said, they're in the process of subdividing it, but they want to get this annexation through before the subdivision. They're still working on that part. I told them I'll check with Jacob and make sure it was fine if we go by legal description. And he said, yeah, that's fine. I've sent him the legal description. He's looked at it and he was good with it.
Okay, and any particular reason why they didn't want the lower half included?
It's a different.
There's a development company
Yeah.
that doesn't want to be in.
Yeah, it's a different development. This one's a development down here, and this is a
So
development
they're-
up here,
okay.
and this bottom one doesn't want to come in.
It's another apartment complex.
What now?
We're hearing it's another senior apartment complex.
And there's already a lot of general business in that area, correct?
Yes, everything fronting Schillinger's
Yeah,
Road.
that's what I was thinking.
So the same people don't own both?
He,
They do.
the person owns it right now. The same person, yes. But they only want to annex that north portion because this developer wants to be in. This developer doesn't. That they're selling it to.
So anyway, do we need to go ahead and have a motion to approve? Or is
Tonight?
this-
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, well, in other words, you just bring it, do we have any objections?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
this
This
is
will
not a-
be a regular session for a formal recommendation.
Okay.
They
This
weren't.
is just the work
Is
session.
That's
that
right.
back
I'm
corner still in
okay.
litigation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do what now?
Wasn't that
No,
back
I'll
corner
point it
in
out.
litigation?
The back corner. What? Back here?
Back, the subdivision that's over there.
Oh, Dunwood.
Dunwood?
Isn't there a
I don't-
corner of Dunwood and this property?
think
and
so.
Somewhere that's in litigation?
Not that I know
Okay.
of.
I thought the surveyor or whoever, the engineer, mentioned that in passing when we were talking about Dunwood
Oh.
and why they weren't gonna develop that last section yet.
Oh yeah. Well, they just instead of doing the fourth phase, they just cut it out and just did the third phase in Dunwood. So I'm not sure if they're. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is the frontage gonna be on, Schiller's or Silver Pine?
A little of both. Both.
Both. But the address would be on what?
Schillinger's.
Schiller's.
But this isn't the subdivision.
No, yeah, this isn't the
This is
subdivision.
just to annex into the city
Yeah.
limits. We haven't gotten to the annexation yet, I mean, the subdivision yet.
So and as far as, at what point in time do they get into the construction aspect as far as the design, like right turn only on Schillinger?
That's when they submit plans. They haven't even submitted plans yet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
They are in talks with the county, just for everybody to know. The county would dictate the right of way, based on traffic studies, and so that's in the works.
That's a busy area right there.
Hopefully it's right turn on. In and out. You got traffic light, then go out the traffic light.
As long as we don't put a media in there.
Huh?
As long as we don't put a media in there.
Bite your tongue.
Always put an access road along the front of the property, so you have to go to the light.
Well, there's a lot more,
That's
there's gonna be a
down.
lot more coming
That's
out of this
down.
property to the planning commission, so.
Yeah,
We're just here working on the annexation.
Yeah, you'll see this again.
Many times.
that's fine. Well, I don't have any concerns, so.
Any other questions?
Okay.
That's it for me. Like I said, I have several other ones that are going to go straight to city council because they're coming in as R1, so they don't need planning commission recommendation.
All right, so we can move on to the comp plan discussion at this time. Ms. Wiley, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Unfortunately, I sent another draft, but it was too large, so it didn't go through to Jeffrey's email. So we're just going to talk about it, and I will send that draft to you when I get back to my office. As of now, I did want to say that I had been saying that the end date was the 20th, and I've just got confirmation that the end date is the 30th. So we have a little more time to get more information in there. As I stated before, in terms of hitting all the points of the requirements of what the grant is asking for, we have all the information. Now, whether or not it is satisfied to our liking in terms of the detail, we can work on that after, we submit. But right now, we have checked all the boxes, and that's what they will do when we turn it in. So essentially, on the 30th, before the 30th, when I email it, they're just going to make sure that we've met all the requirements in terms of the content, and then we can continue working beyond that point. If there was anything that you saw in the last draft that you had questions about, concerns, anything like that, you can let me know now.
So if we have, I have a list of stuff that I could, send over to someone.
Okay, you can email it to me or email
That's
it.
what I was going to ask. Does it go to you? Does it go to Jeffrey? Who?
You can send it to Jeffrey just so that we both have the information, and then you can forward it to me.
Okay.
I can tell you that a lot of things are being added because I'm not the only person that's working on it. We have a shared drive. So you'll see that things are being added quickly. So it may be covered, whatever your concerns are. But there again, if it's something that we can't meet before the deadline, we can absolutely, get it once we kind of satisfy the grant.
Well, and I know that we're still working on the details, but I guess my main concern would be under recommendations, several times it says that we're focusing on retirement age community. I know that that is the majority of our population, but there's another point in there that says that ages 25 to 44 are more economically productive. So shouldn't we focus more on that age group and getting more of that age group?
That's gonna be solely up to what you all want. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer there. Your median age is relatively high, and so in thinking in 20 years you're gonna have more older people than you will younger people, and I think that's kind of just where we were going with that. But it's strictly up to what you all want in terms of your content there and your recommendations. That's
so as
not
far as
something
content, we can still work on that.
Oh yes,
and all those
absolutely.
details.
Yes,
long
yes.
after.
That's going to be just general. So that's what I've been saying. You can add, take away anything that you don't like. This is just general information based on what we've seen in the analysis. But if you don't like it, if you don't want it in there, if you feel like it, needs to be changed, absolutely, it can be changed.
So can I give this to you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Good luck, Samara.
We would like a copy of that as well, please.
Okay.
That's fine.
Post it on Facebook.
Don't go there.
It took me a minute to catch on to that one.
I thought the funniest one was Jerry.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments or concerns? Mr. Mayor?
I'm kind of like Liz. I think that and it's mentioned more than just once about it being a senior community. I don't want Semmes to come off of being represented as a senior community. If we're going to be a diverse community,
Absolutely.
we need to be attractive to all people. And so and that's what our overall goal is. We want younger families to live here, stay here, just as much as we want our elderly to live here and stay here.
Right.
So I think I would like to see more of a diverse when it comes to age and the comp plan.
Careful when you talk about the elderly living in cities.
I love the elderly. Y'all know that.
Well, they do have more disposable income.
I'm very nice to Charlie all the time.
I know people.
You will give us a copy of all of this ahead of time, because I've
Yes.
not seen anything yet.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And the previous draft was emailed. I thought, did you? Okay.
Yeah, you take this one with you. You give me that one.
But like I said, it's going
If you like me, I like to read it.
But you will get the final before I send it. And in terms of content and detail, like I said, if there's anything that needs to be changed in terms of recommendations, they're not looking at that anyway. They just wanna know that we've done the work in terms of meeting all the goals of information that's in there. So whether or not we say it's a retirement community or not, they're not gonna even read that part. And we can continue working on, beyond the deadline. They just have to know we've been working.
And to that point, be sure you are turning in your hours.
Yes.
How are we doing on that? What the hours we're now?
Right now, which there's still some calculations to add in there as far as pay, but I think we're sitting at like 4,000 right now in kind.
I haven't turned in. I got.
So
I don't think I've turned in either. Have I turned in? I don't think I've turned in.
no, I've only got you for a couple meetings you've been through.
So do we email you?
Yeah, just shoot me an email with how many hours, what day, what time, and what you were doing.
Not in a meeting, but.
Yeah, I'll get the meetings.
But
So
I
just,
did all
I'll,
that.
Yes.
yes, yeah.
All right, there's
Just
your
give yourself
brand.
48 hours.
And Jeffrey, if you have any of the information in terms of invoice information or anything that you already have done, you can go ahead and just let me know, and that can be done ahead of time.
Okay.
In terms of that information, we don't have to wait until the final for that.
Okay.
I saved mine up, gave it 3 months at one time.
That's what I'm doing.
That'll
Where's
work.
that number? We gotta get that number up.
Mhm.
Okay, so we will meet again before the deadline. The 27th is your next meeting, so we will meet again before then, and then I can send it, I will email it to them on the next day, and of course I'll forward you on the email, I'll copy you on the email when I send it.
Okay.
Okay?
And I'll send it out as soon as she sends it to me in the morning. I'll send it all out to the latest draft.
Right.
Is that gonna have all the stuff that we talked about?
Yeah, why don't you print out some copies and we'll get Shannon to make those for them?
Okay.
And then we can, then y'all can pick them up at City Hall.
Yeah, I'd like that.
For those that would rather have paper, we'll have them at City Hall for y'all. After you send out the copies tomorrow, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We'll print them, I won't be there, but I'll have Shannon print them out, or if you'll come and print them out and have her bind them.
Yeah.
And make sure you keep up with printing as well, because that
Yeah.
can go towards that as well.
That'd be a $1,000 book right there.
Right.
Print on card, color on card.
Between that and Crabtree, we're good to go.
We're gonna make stands and sell them at business locations for $25.99.
Speaking of printing, I think that there's 20 copies, hard copies that will be allocated. And it was
Right.
mentioned that you potentially wanted more. Do you have a number?
We need 50. How much are they a piece?
We're gonna have to find out, because it's gonna be based on pages.
What should take out, Councilmember Joyce's description?
Yeah, I missed that because Commissioner Crabtree was distracting.
We're just gonna take out Councilmember Joyce's discretionary
The
funds.
printing.
The printing.
Oh, the printing.
How many books do you think we need? We're allocated 20 of them. How many do you think we need total? Or the final
I
draft?
think you need the planning commission members, the BZA members.
City council.
City council, planning, permitting, I don't know, fire and police need one, probably every department probably needs one.
I'd mail one to the HOA of all the main subdivisions we're targeting.
That's a good idea. 50 total?
50 would.
I think 50 would cover it.
50?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I know that there was a question, or we thought about potentially, the printing of the final document beyond the 20, potentially going towards your money as well. And that won't happen until we get ready to adopt, of course, and we don't know when that is. So we kind of have to coordinate with the printer to see if they can give us a ballpark figure of what that number would even be. So we're trying to see if that will work. But if so, then, that will be some money too. So, we're gonna see if that's possible. But I will let.
So they won't need an invoice proving it before.
Well, that's the thing, they're gonna have to give us a price of how much it may be, and then we're still editing, so if we say 100 today and then we end up with 150, then that price is gonna change. So we're just kind of trying to see if it would work, but that could potentially go towards your money as well. But I'll see, I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else? Any other questions, concerns, ideas, thoughts? No?
I mean, I will concur as far as it seemed like there was a lot of focus on senior citizens.
Okay.
a lot of focus.
Okay.
And then that's why it's typed up.
Okay, and I am gonna read it.
And, some of them are questions like how much of, well, this is the way I'm methodical.
I appreciate it.
And,
We can come up with some other words.
I'm not, I just need one as well. But, I did fill in some additional
Yes.
information to help you out. But, and one of the things that I do, it was kind of alluding, and this is something that I have made a recommendation as far as Parks and Rec,
Okay.
that do we need a master plan for Parks and Rec?
Okay.
Because it seemed like it was setting the stage for it.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, this
They
is
just,
something
like,
that we
fell
need
off.
to definitely pursue
Okay.
as far as a master plan strictly for Park Rec. Because that was one of the things as far as the what is it that you are seeking from the city? What do you think we need to improve on? And I think the largest percentage was entertainment and recreation. So, all right, that was another check. We need to work on a Park and Rec
Right.
master plan,
Okay.
comprehensive plan.
So just note that, some of these, of course, and I'm seeing that there are grammatical errors, and we're gonna go through and correct that. Some of these points you may not see corrected before the
Yeah.
30th.
That's fine.
But we'll definitely revisit everyone's concerns so that we make sure that everyone's happy with it, because this is not my plan, it's gonna be you all's
Right.
plan for, the city, okay?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think this may be a moot point there where I have like page 19.
Mm-hmm.
I was informed that this is now a no, that Mobile County has said they are not going to build a new high school. Y'all heard anything about that?
I heard they were. I haven't heard they haven't. Weren't.
I've heard that they've now backed off on
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
Because if they are going to build it, then that's going to affect we as a whole community.
And Allentown was left out too, in that area.
Okay.
It talks about MGM, Semmes Middle, it talks about Semmes Elementary, but it doesn't say anything about Allentown.
Okay.
So
It's probably because it's not in our PJ.
Is it not?
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Is it? I thought it runs
It's right there next to,
just the east of it.
It's right there next to Roy's place.
Well, yeah, it's behind Roy, but it's next to Carolyn Owens.
Yeah.
It's her old property.
That's true.
Yeah.
Golly, wow.
That's crazy.
I hadn't heard that about.
yeah, I mean, this was like something I heard like over the weekend.
Is that the one that was gonna be out in West Mobile you're talking about?
They must have made a decision when they decided about the stadium.
Really?
Exactly.
I thought there was a family
There's
in
lot
West
of
Mobile that was
backpedaling
donating the
going on
property,
right
is
now.
what they said on the news.
Yeah.
They got more, they don't need families donating their property, they got more money than Mobile.
So, but it was just, if they do build that new high school, what impact is that going to have on, not necessarily Grand Montgomery, but what impact is that going to have on us as a whole community? And that's,
That's probably, 3 to 5 years down the road anyway, right?
yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, I heard 3 to 5 years. There's gonna be an implementation schedule in the plan. And so we're not gonna be, bound to this, but I can show you just an example of what it looks like. I know that people cringe at that because you feel like you're held to it, but, it kind of is gonna talk about, we have to talk about implementation. And I know, of course, when you say, okay, we're gonna improve such and such, and it doesn't happen in 5 years, then people are mad because you said it was gonna happen. So we have to talk about implementation, but right now I've put a table in here. If we don't like the way that it's presented, that can be updated as well. But implementation and goals is a section that we have to include. But I do understand that people think that when they see it on paper, and you said that you were gonna do it in 5 years and it happens in 10, then that's a problem. So I understand that as well, but you'll see that in the next draft. But I just wanted to kind of alert you to that because that's something that you had not seen before. Okay? All right, if that's all, guys, and I will have that draft to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Okay, with no other items on the agenda, Does anyone want to make a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
No.
We have a motion for adjournment by Ms. Lovelady, and we have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Crabtree. We are adjourned at 5:32. Thanks, everybody.
And you're all welcome to come by the library for the art